and that's it to chat to Jamie and Matt. So with your blessing, Mark, if we can just knock the slides off for a second, before we bring Helen back in, just so everybody can see Jamie and Matt on screen. That's brilliant. So welcome. This is the father and son show. So this is the being there and done that session. I'm just going to fire a few questions at you both, if I may. So, Jamie, I'll start with your good self, if that's okay. So, can you just give us a little bit of background? So, what T level did you undertake? And just tell us a little bit about your journey so far, if that's okay.
Yeah, so I did a digital T level. Digital technology and solutions. Which lasted 2 years. I was the first cohort to actually do a T level, so I didn't really know what to expect because there wasn't that much, obviously, past experience. However, it went really well. I fully enjoyed the 2 years because even though when you are in a classroom, it's a lot of coursework type learning, so you work on projects over a period of time, so it's not like your normal exams of you've got to do that exam at that date. So the learning was very well adjusted to how I prefer. Then I unfortunately didn't get accepted to work for Lloyd's, but I very much enjoyed my work placement, which was for like an e-commerce company, and then I did that from March to about December, and doing as much opportunity as possible because it is a really good way to build up your skills.
So that's a great example. So just for the record, what Jamie's saying is he didn't enjoy your placement with Louis, big corporate. Your company was a lot smaller, Jamie, wasn't it?
Yeah, so the company that I worked for, there was about 8 of us, including myself. So very small and like very independent.
Brilliant. So as I mentioned there, it could be either side of those spectrum. Thanks, Jamie. Thanks for that intro. And Matt, you must have had a decision to make when you were trying to guide Jamie, especially kind of a couple of years back. So, from a parent's perspective, that's what today's all about, isn't it? It's giving a little bit of insight into what T levels are. But where was your head at? Because when T levels was such a new qualification, certainly not tried and tested when Jamie was applying, how did you cope with that? Did you have any concerns? How did it work out?
So I'll say I've got a little bit of a cheek because as I work in education, I kind of knew about T levels from my current job, but as a parent, obviously not having any obviously stats or anything to fall back on, or any real information, obviously it was a bit of a concern. But obviously we think about all the different options available. Obviously we did look at A levels, but they're very exam based. You don't particularly specialize. You do maybe 3 or 4 different subjects, but you're not focusing on one. We looked at BTECs, very vocational. I did a BTEC myself when I went to college. Really enjoyed it. And we also looked at maybe doing apprenticeships straight from after school. And then it was just when, again, we look around and it was actually on the Calderdale College website, we saw this T level. And one thing that we really liked about it was it's basically the best of both worlds, or best of all the worlds. You get your work experience, and I think that's what employers want more. They want students with those work experience skills, not necessarily just lots of classroom skills. It is vocational, but there's still that exam base, so there's still something that you've had to do, maybe being put under a little bit of stress, and you've got to perform under those conditions, and all those are obviously their character building traits, which obviously you need to take on into obviously the world of employment.
It is. Oh, that's brilliant to hear your interpretation of it. And I know you've got a head start being in education, but it was still a leap of faith. So listen, we've heard Claire talking about giving a professional overview of what T levels are. How do you explain them when you're chatting with friends and family? But both of you, how do you kind of across the dinner table get across what's the best bit of T levels?
I think the way that I explained it was sort of like my dad said, best of both worlds is you do education, and you're still working towards a qualification of some sort. And like I said, it's equivalent to 3 A levels. So you're putting your eggs in one basket in terms of coursework, but you're more specialized in that area rather than doing 3 A levels in maths, science, and English, for example, and then like struggling to know everything in those 3 subjects. So I think the way that I explained it was, in my opinion, it was a lot better than an A level because it allowed me to focus on one thing rather than multiple things. And then, like I said, as we were thinking about doing an apprenticeship anyway, still having that work experience, it was really like fun and exciting for me, and I really, like I said, I really enjoyed it. How about yourself?
I think because again, at the school I work at, because a parent of someone who's done T levels, apparently I'm the guru of T levels. Again, it's that thing of like if Jamie had done A levels, he'd done computer science, he'd done maths, and then something else. And that's something else. Again, depends what was on offer and is it really applicable to what it was doing. Whereas the T level, it was all basically computer science, but really honing into lots of different areas. So obviously, really really ups your skill level in a certain pathway that you're interested in.
Perfect. Thanks both. And then Jamie, tell us about the industry placement then. So you mentioned small organisation that you work for. How did that help you develop your skills and I guess your confidence in the workplace?
So I think the fact that I didn't join Lloyd's was sort of like even though I was slightly disappointed, but I was also like a added benefit because like joining a work company is like really sort of, it can be seen as really terrifying, especially if you've had no work experience before like myself. So I think joining a small company like I did, it was sort of like a nice introduction into this is what the working world is like. So like I said, I worked for a company that did e-commerce, so they produced websites for other businesses, and they didn't really have a data person. So during my placement there, I focused on making their data flow a lot more quickly across their databases, and just making it a bit more efficient and easier to find certain information rather than it being all over the place like it originally was. Through that, I also did pick up on how do you produce a website from sort of the networking within the company. But as they don't, you find this probably from every work experience as a student is they don't expect you to know everything. So if it takes you like weeks to do it because during your normal college term, you will only do 1 day a week. So if that takes you 2-3 days, that's okay because it like if it takes you like 2-3 weeks, obviously that's okay because it would be about 2-3 days in the real workplace. So you've got a bit more leniency to learn and understand things to a good extent.
Perfect. Well, practice environment is the wrong word, but essentially you're getting to do things at an easier pace. Brilliant. Thanks, Jamie. And then Matt, what have you seen in Jamie since he started his journey? So personal growth, academic growth. Have you seen a difference in him?
Yeah, I say he's gonna hate me for saying this now, but like he now doesn't stop talking. He's really talkative. Like from the person who, when he left secondary school, like yeah, not very vocal. But now he's just really talkative. He'll actually enter conversations, and he'll speak up in crowds. And like real surprise, like when he's been working for Lloyd's, he's obviously he was a founding member of a group, which again I think that confidence has come from his T level. His obviously I think his critical thinking's got a lot better. He's very proactive now because of his T level. I think that's part of maybe the assessments that they had to do when you maybe think about planning the time on when you're going to do certain parts to fit everything in with the time limit. He's very creative now and resilient. I think that's like the main thing.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Jamie looked really, really comfortable when he was saying all those things about him, Matt.
Good.
Yeah, but like just to add on that, I agree. It's like my teacher, whilst doing my T level, like I remember sort of when I was getting my results, she said to me like, it's surprising how far I've come, because like my dad said, is I was a very internal person. I didn't speak to that many people, and then when I did finish my T level, I was the exact opposite. So it's surprising what that confidence does give you in such a short period of 2 years.
Thanks, Jamie. Thanks, Jamie. Last question each. Jamie, what was it like trying to secure your apprenticeship? So clearly you did end up joining Lloyds and you were really successful, obviously, in that process. But what was it like on the hunt? And then give us a little bit about what your time at Lloyds has been like so far on the other end as a permanent employee.
So I think securing an apprenticeship is hard work. It's like you've got to put your time and effort into making sure you do want that placement, because it is such a competitive area. However, it is worth it once you do get on it. However, what I felt with Lloyds' application process was a lot more nicer, as in it was more well structured. It was more relaxing in terms of the questions and the assessment centre that you do, compared to other like other assessment centres that I did. So maybe that's why I got accepted, because I was a lot more myself. I was more relaxed, so I was able to actually put the true me in rather than my interview me, because obviously people say that you put on a persona when you're in an interview. And then, like I said, I luckily secured a placement. From start to end, that took about 3-4 months, which was really quick compared to other companies. And then I've been doing a level 4 data analyst apprenticeship, which I finished, and now I'm doing a level 6 data science to get my degree. And I think from what I've gathered, and it's a lot better than going to a university, because obviously you're doing work experience, you're working on real life problems that a bank or the company does have to solve. And when people say like that social life disappears, that's not true. Like I do loads of projects that increase my social like capability and those skills within there. And then obviously you get your time to focus on your learning, and so your managers will go, okay, what day do you want to focus on your learning? And then obviously for the 4 other days, you do your actual day job. And there's a lot of opportunities to also speak to other T-level students, speak to other apprentices. So if you do feel like you're alone and that you'd want to have some help in a certain area, there is that network out there to actually help you and progress.
Thanks, Jamie. Thanks. And it sounds like an apprenticeship is definitely the route for you. And I know you mentioned university, which wasn't your route, but Helen in a moment I'll bring in just to talk about different options, because that might be the route for some post-T level. Brilliant. Thanks, Jamie. Matt.